Okay guys, so we are going to pick back up where we left off. My Teams is not wanting to work today. So I'm just going to record this where you guys can see my screen and then watch it. So we finished up our sight word of the day and we looked at our short I words. So now we were talking about what a folk tale was. And I showed you guys this chart, but I'm going to show you again really quickly. So a folk tale, it's originally told orally, which means someone was telling it by speaking. They weren't writing it down at first. So since it was told orally, there are sometimes a lot of different versions. The characters are common people or animals. So animals that you would see every day, the characters seem like they could be real people, but it is a fiction story, which means it's made up. It has a moral. So a moral is a lesson. So the character in the story or someone in our story would learn a lesson, and it usually has repetitive phrases. So that's the same sentence that the author tells or writes over and over again. So we are going to look at the folktale today, Imani's Moon. So as I read this, I want you to think about if you see any of those characteristics in our story. Imani was the smallest child in her village. "Look, a tiny Imani," the other children teased. "She's no higher than a lion's cub knee." "Careful," they called out to her. "Don't let the meerkats stomp on your head." Mini Imani will never accomplish anything. Day in and day out, the children teased her, and Imani began to believe them. Every night, Imani's mama lifted her spirits with stories. The night Mama told her of Alapa, the goddess on the moon who fought a great battle against the god of sun and triumphed. That means he won. "Do they think I could do something great like Opa?" asked Imani. "I do," answered Mama. "Even something like touch the moon?" "Even that," said Mama. "But it is you who must believe." Mama kissed her forehead. "Good night, Imani. Good night, Mama." That night, Alpa and Imani battled side by side in Imani's dreams. Together, they protected people of Earth from danger. They flew through the sky and guarded the moon. Imani stood tall and brave on the moon with Alpa beside her. The next morning, Imani woke up, inspired to do something great. Today, she told herself, I will touch the moon. Later that day, Imani made her way through the village. "Look, it's Imani the ant," called out one of the teasing children. "Where are you off to?" teased another. "Going to catch a ride on a beagle's back?" "I'm going to touch the moon," answered Imani. The children laughed and followed her. As the moon grew bright in the late day sky, Imani began to climb the tallest tree. The bark scraped her small hands and legs. On a branch above, Noki, a snake, appeared. "What's going on?" he hissed. "I'm going to touch the moon," Imani answered. "That's impossible," he said. "It's much too high." Imani climbed on. As she got higher and higher, climbing became harder and harder. She stretched herself to reach the next branch, but lost footing and fell to the ground with a thump. "Maybe I won't touch the moon," she sighed. That night, Mama told Imani about Anissa, a small spider who captured a snake to gain a name for himself. "Mama, do you believe that a spider so small and weak could really capture a snake so long and quick?" Imani asked. I do, answered Mama. Even if no one else believes it? Imani asked. A challenge is only impossible until someone accomplishes it, Mama said. Imani, it is only you who must believe. Imani drifted to sleep and dreamed that she climbed to the top of the highest tree in her village and captured a snake and made a name for herself. The next day, Imani searched the village, gathering twigs, leaves, sticky berries, and rope. Then she headed back to the tallest tree, sat down, and got to work. What's Imani the Tiny up to today? Teased the children. I'm going to touch the moon, Imani answered. As the moon began to appear, Imani pulled her creation onto her arms. She spread her wings out wide and sprinted past the tallest tree as quick as she could. Imani's wings caught a gust of wind. She soared as high as the treetops. What are you, doing up here? Asked Saki, the chimpanzee, confused to see a flying human. I'm going to touch the moon, Imani called. You, can't do all that? Give up! Imani flew on. Then suddenly, a strong burst of wind, too mighty for her delicate wings, sent her sailing into a tree with a crash. The children laughed and left her behind. I give up, she sighed. Heading back home, Imani heard her village gather in celebration. The young warriors were performing the jumping dance. Over and over again, the warriors jumped high into the sky. Their heads creased in the clouds. Cheers and chants rang from the proud villagers. One of the warriors jumped higher than any other. The warrior seemed to fly. Imani could not look away. She cheered the loudest for him. After the celebration, Mama and Imani returned home. Too tired for a story, Imani went straight to sleep. Her dreams danced with visions of the Amora. The cheers and chants of her tribe still echoed in her head. When morning broke, Imani went to the tallest tree. The teasing children followed her. She's going to climb again, they hollered, but instead, Imani jumped. 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3. Each jump took her higher and higher and higher. Imani jumped all day. As the sky grew darker, Bundy the owl flew by. What are you doing? He asked. I'm going to touch the moon, Imani answered. Don't fool yourself. You won't make it, hooted Bundy, and Imani jumped on. Her body grew tired, her legs ached, her feet throbbed, and the children continued to taunt. But like a warrior, she jumped higher than each jump before. In her mind, she could hear only the cheers and chants of her proud village. She could see only herself as one of the warriors rising from earth. She kept her eyes on the moon above and felt herself getting closer. With a final push of her legs, Imani jumped once more. And she soared through the night sky. She landed on a face on the moon. Alupa, she called out, I am here. I am Imani, and I have made it to the moon. So you have, said a voice in the wind. Welcome. Imani clapped. She laughed, she sang. She rolled in moon dust and danced with excitement. As she celebrated, she noticed something shiny. She picked up the thing that dazzled her eyes and turned it over in her hand. It was a small moon rock in her own tiny moon. A gift for you, Imani the Great, said the voice. Thank you, goddess of the moon, Imani smiled. Feeling lighter than ever before, Imani jumped one last time and floated from the moon towards the waiting earth. Down from the sky came Imani, the small girl with the small moon in her hand. All was quiet. No one taunted or hissed or mocked or hooted. That night, Imani called to her mama. "Can I tell you a story tonight?" she asked. "Which one?" said Mama. "It is the tale of the girl who touched the moon." Mama listened as Imani told her story. "Where did you hear such a tale?" Mama asked. Imani opened her hands and revealed the glowing moon rock, so small and so beautiful. "It is my story, Mama," Imani said. "I am the girl who touched the moon and was welcomed by Alpa. I am the one who believed." All right, so that was our folk tale today. I want you to think about the moral of the story. So remember, the moral is the lesson. So what lesson did the author want us to learn? Tomorrow, we're going to retell this story by sequencing it first, next, then last, and we are going to identify the moral of your story. And in your Florida Virtual School modules, there is another folk tale for you to read today.